Carter and Bell LP was one of the most prestigious law firms in the city. Polished glass doors, marble floors, and corner offices filled with ego. Every Monday morning was a parade of tailored suits and silent power plays. It was the kind of place where names were currency and pedigrees opened doors. On one particular morning, a young black woman stepped into the firm's lobby. Her natural curls framed a face that was equal parts confidence and composure. She wore a sharp navy suit, carried a leather briefcase, and walked with purpose. But to the staff at Carter and Bell, she was just another face, until proven otherwise. "Lost?" asked the receptionist, barely glancing up. "No," the woman replied with a polite smile. "I have a meeting on the 14th floor." The receptionist raised a brow. "Intern orientation is on 12. Elevators are to your left." The woman nodded and entered the elevator, but pressed 14. Upstairs in conference room B, the usual Monday morning meeting of the senior litigation team was underway. Gerald Sloan, a veteran attorney with 20 years under his belt and a legacy of court wins, held court at the head of the table. He was loud, well-connected, and utterly confident in his worldview. "So," Gerald said, thumbing through resumes, "HR tells me we've got a batch of fresh interns. I skimmed their files. One of them's a Harvard grad. Affirmative action, I bet." A few chuckles echoed around the room, though not everyone laughed. Some glanced at the door, where a knock interrupted the moment. The young woman entered. "Sorry to interrupt," she said smoothly. "I'm here for the 9 a.m. meeting." Gerald didn't even look up. "Intern meetings are downstairs. This is senior staff." The woman paused, then smiled. "I'm aware." Gerald finally looked up, and his face shifted. Confusion first, then irritation. "And you are?" She stepped forward, placing her briefcase on the table. "Danielle Brooks, your new partner." The room fell silent. Excuse me?" Gerald stammered. "You heard me," she said, opening the briefcase. "I was brought in last month. Merger deal between Carter and Bell and Grant Legal. You may recall the announcement." Another attorney nodded slowly. "Yes. The board said we'd be gaining a new equity partner from Grant to lead civil rights and corporate ethics litigation." Danielle smiled again, but this time with edge. "That's me. JD from Harvard, clerked under Judge Delacroix, argued 3 successful cases before the Fifth Circuit, and led a class action settlement against Biotron Industries. But thank you, Mr. Sloan, for assuming I was an intern." Gerald's face turned red. I didn't know. You didn't ask," she replied sharply. The managing partner, Mr. Bell himself, entered just then. "Ah, Danielle, welcome. Hope everyone's treating you well." Gerald looked like he wanted to sink into the floor. Danielle turned to the others. "Let's get started. I've reviewed our current caseload and have a few suggestions, especially regarding the Phillips case. It's hanging by a procedural thread." As the meeting went on, it became clear she wasn't just qualified. She was brilliant. Her notes were sharp, her strategy sound, and her delivery flawless. When it ended, most of the attorneys left quietly, minds reeling. Gerald lingered behind. "Ms. Brooks," he said hesitantly, "I owe you an apology." She turned to face him. "Not just for what you said, but for thinking you were entitled to say it." He nodded slowly. "You're right." She gathered her things. "Here's the thing, Gerald. I'm not here to make waves. I'm here to make progress. But don't mistake my calm for complacency. If I ever hear something like that again, toward me or anyone else, I'll go straight to the board. Understood?" "Yes, partner Brooks," he said, voice quiet. Danielle smiled coolly. "Good. Now let's win some cases." That week, the firm's internal newsletter proudly announced Danielle Brooks as the first black female equity partner in Carter and Bell's history. But around the office, the real message had already spread. Underestimate her at your own risk. And Gerald? He never made another assumption about a woman or a person of color again.